Bottom left corner of the map, our blue... I can't even do the colors right. The red Terran player is going to be ByuN as we kick off into this best of 5 grand final of the WardiTV New Year Invitational. In the top right corner, our blue Zerg from the TvZ Gaming is Solar. Of course, ByuN's from Shopify Rebellion. If this ends up on the YouTubes, then do consider hitting the like and subscribe buttons to help this video find its way to many other YouTube viewers. And so we can keep on punching these events out of more people, and we can keep more people entertained and all that good stuff. Hopefully it's a good series, as this is a finals best of 5. ByuN looked good earlier today, as he'll open up Proxy Racks in here on Hardwire. Earlier today, he started out 2-0 over Armani, followed by a win over Creator in the semifinals. Solar just came through Euthermal in a much more hard-fought series, and the hard-fought side of the bracket, I would say. Euthermal, then Zest, and both of those were 2-1s. Into the finals now for this best of 5. See who takes home the first place prize money. So a couple of racks setting up. Now Solar's Overlord is going to take a turn towards this. He lost to Proxy Racks once today against Euthermal. As he sees this, it's a fairly early scout. Is it early enough to pull the drones? I don't think so. It's also quite far away. The map's fairly large, and I just don't think you can justify pulling the drones here, which is fine. It just means that you will have to defend this back on your base. So that's what we are going to be heading over for right now. And let's see how this is going to play out. Obviously, 2Rex has a few different follow-ups as well, and I mean, a lot of this depends on how exactly the drones do in their initial trade out right now. One drone is pulled forward. The idea there being is that that drone just wants to just try and stop the initial bunker from coming down, getting some progress made. Now we pull a few drones. They're going to just try and, like I say, slow down that bunker and slow down the Marine a little bit as much as possible. There the bunker does drop into position, and the first 8 Lings and 2 Queens will be in production. Big drone pull really wants to try and deny this bunker from getting online, so Solar being very serious about defending this. Oh no, a Marine just rallied through the drones. ByuN just didn't pick it up at all, and oh, that's kind of awkward. Now he's lost 2 Marines and not really done much with this. First drone going down. We do see the Lings popping out. The bunker is denied, and clean defense from Solar. Lots of lost mining time, yes, but not really anything else lost there, as this Overlord is yeah, having some real issues getting into the high ground vision there. Solar was like, question mark, why is my Overlord still attackable? Well, it just wasn't quite positioned correctly. Yeah, great defense out of Solar. I mean, puts himself in a great spot here to start off with, and he's now going to lift the barracks up, which is going to allow him to have high ground vision. Now, you do have a way to fight this Overlord, but you got to be careful of the Lings. Queen's coming forward too, as Solar wants to protect it. I'm going to force this to be a fight where a couple of Lings go down. The Overlord has taken a good bit of damage, and those few Marines pulling back into the center. So, well, Ling speed coming up, and Marines falling back home. I like this one Ling that peeled away to the other side of the Marines while the others fell back towards their base. That means that this Ling can get a bit of scouting, just checks over here. Don't know why he would check the low ground per se, but he's going to be able to see natural expansion coming up. He's going to see the factory will be building its own reactor if he went up to the high ground. Yeah, I like it. He actually doesn't go up to the high ground yet. He will try and delay the SCV on the CC a bit. He still gets that information of the factory building a reactor, which is, I mean, all of this is kind of a given. It's kind of the expectation, but it's still good to get the confirmation of that. That's exactly what he will do. Speed's about halfway done. The Zerglings of Solar pulling back to the upper right-hand side. Hatchery on the third base now starting to build up as well. Okay, our Viking is coming up in the starport, and the CC will be finishing soon. Couple of Hellions, and then reactor is on the barracks, so it's going to go very quickly. Couple of Hellions, a Viking, and then maybe just straight into like something like 2-1-1-esque, right? That'd be kind of cool. Be kind of down for that. Well, Stimpack starting. It's actually going to be a Liberator. I mean, I guess you still have to build the reactor on the factory, right, before you then get into toward Medevac, so yeah, I actually don't mind the Lib. I guess it gives you another way to harass a little bit here. That Viking's already going looking for Overlords. One over on this left side setting up, as these few Marines had been trying to move around for some damage. The Lings catch them and clean those out. It's a bit of a shame, because obviously those Marines could have joined up with the other Marines and had their stim, and that could have been a whole bundle of fun. Instead, now they're just dead, and as Viking continues to look hopelessly for an Overlord, it's not found a single one where it's been moving so far. Moving off to the right side, is going to find now a couple of these OVs, and we'll probably be able to get this one, which is far away. Overall gets picked. The stim pack still about halfway along here, and just going to be seeing the tech lab finishing soon. Back at home, ByuN just getting all of these add-ons online. I imagine the starport is in the process of swapping over to that reactor and getting some medevacs ready to produce. There it is. He missed. Try again. And nailed it. Lands it perfectly positioned this time around. As we'll see a third CC dropping into the main base as well. Single Ling just sneaks into the mineral line. In the main base, we got this Liberator sieging up. Spellcrawler is going to push that Lib away. Just gonna, have this little dance around, repositioning, trying to deny mining for a bit. ByuN should be able to save this Lib still. Spell will get one shot off. The Lib can be alive, and now just go back home, repair, and come back full HP, and just harass a bit later down the line. There's one over here, by the way. Is the Viking going to eventually go down there? Not sure where he's rallied to at the moment, but, okay, just to here. Yeah, that's like the one place that ByuN hasn't really checked with that Viking that would obviously be successful, so we'll see if the Viking ever makes itself over, or sets itself over in that direction or not. As otherwise, just Ling Queen still joining up in the middle of the map. Marines, Hellions, a tank, all of this starting to press on forward. So into the middle of the map we go. There's extra Banes coming through, the melee upgrades, the Baneling speed, there's the combat shield on ByuN's side as well. And just having this army working around the left here. As we get forward, there's a bit of group spread here that will be easily picked away at. Getting rid of that already, and now a few extra Banes morphing in from Solar. Just going to see this Bioforce setting up, tank sieging. Tank fires, and the Ling just gets picked off already, and just going to be having our combat shield from ByuN coming through again here now. So just getting that combat shield started. Continuing his upgrades. There is that Liberator. Going to get shot down in the main set. Got back into play. Like I said, just a little bit more chaos. A little bit of lost mining time again. So it was nice to keep it alive, get it home, get it back on the map. Nice to just get that done. If this group spread, I'll be in some trouble as well. Taking a couple of shots. The one Marine stepping ahead tries to get it, doesn't quite manage it. As you do see, the extra creep tumors continuing to drop here. So creep continuing to be cleaned on out. Hydroden will be finishing soon. The melee upgrade's not far from completion either. And the Overlord speed coming in. This one Ling is going to go and tag itself onto this orbital. And other Lings around the south side run out where they're going to run to. Some Marines will make their way to the right and try to find a way in at the moment. So moving forward and looking to take a bit of a position. Getting this little siege up set up to begin with. And here's the big Baneling counterattack that we just saw setting up. So Bane's going to start rolling forward here. Tank fire. The Banes realized they weren't going to get much done, so they actually just went for depots mostly, but turns around and gets a few SCVs as well. Don't hate it. Actually does supply block ByuN, who's making a case to get this base kill. Sees all these Lings in the middle of the map, so you're aware of that. Now you should really be prioritizing finishing up that wall off right down over here. Okay, well, we're going to run the Lings into the third base instead, where there'll be a few SCVs going down. I think you probably could have run in the natural and had a wild time with that amount of Zerglings. I guess Solar obviously isn't aware that this gap in the wall is still up, right? So if these Lings hadn't been seen, maybe that would have been his play, but having been scouted, he just assumed the wall was going to be up or ByuN was going to be prepared. I actually just don't think he was. I think he would have been in trouble. Army supply lead still in play from ByuN as he's trying to press up to the top side of the map. The medevacs come in, lifting the siege tanks and evacuating them to the left-hand side, which is where the Bio Army is trying to run to, trying to get away. He will drop the tanks on this side and try and bait the Lingbane Hydra into something of a fight in range of those. Obviously, just you don't want to fight here as the Zerg running into a ledge with tanks behind it. Marines in plentiful numbers on the other side of the map will deal with the attempted Ling counter. Actually comes up to cut these Lings off as well, go on the other side, and then a few Banes join up, so ByuN has to double-check how certain he is about making that move. And in the end, just doesn't really decide to commit for it. Tank sieging again, a few Marines, a few of them just stim off to the side, going after that Overseer. Lings and Banes will continue through for the rocks and opening up this position. Let's just see our group spread still out in the middle of the map. And ByuN's taking one of the most popular places on the map here against the Zerg, this low ground area behind this base. This base over here rebuilds, so Solar can rebuild or reset over there with the drones if he needs to. He's only got 68 drones, playing kind of a low eco game. ByuN realizing he's in trouble here with these SCVs. They were going to die to Bane's go if he went right. So by pulling back, he's at least forcing these Lings to stay in tank range for much longer. Don't get me wrong, it's not good to lose 17 SCVs, but he lost them in the best way possible there, if that makes sense. Like I say, if you just ran them to the right, a couple Banes kill them all, and you don't get much. But by running them here, a lot of those Lings went down anyway. ByuN's still working his way into this position. Tank's in range now. He's also got units to the top side, setting up a couple of libs. This lib's horribly positioned. It actually just covered perfectly over the dead airspace. We're going to see a wraparound setting up from Solar. He wants to engage in on both sides of this army, and I think he is right to be thinking of doing so. I don't disagree with the potential. Guys, I'm seeing a couple of spikes on my end. I'm not sure if there's anything I can do about that right now. It's my game just seems like it's freezing up every now and again. I'll have a look at it after this game, maybe reset my SC2, but not sure what it could be at the moment, honestly. I just want to let you guys know that I'm seeing these little random spikes as well. Drones going down as a drop on the right side is going to get rid of a ton of drones. My goodness, it's a lot of workers starting to drop off here. 19, 20 drones going down. Solar just has no response to this. Now he's going to go for the move he's been setting up for, that bunker. Just going to provide a bit of SimCity here. The tank's left alone for a while. The Marines do have medevacs they can lift into to escape. 16 of them get away as the Liberators do some final damage. Now, these medevacs flying back over Hydras was not the right call, as they very nearly go down. I mean, I guess you get away unharmed this time. Oh, so losing 26 drones on that right side base is what's really killing him here, because if he hadn't lost those, he probably would have been fine. This fight was also 2-2 against 1-1, so ByuN was behind in upgrades. And now you move commanding a couple of Hydras through as they're just pathing incorrectly from the position they were at, trying to catch the rest of the army up. So ByuN just able to get a couple of additional kills on the back of that. He's in the center moving forward, getting rid of more creep spread here, and just going to be having the missile upgrade coming through. This is kind of a disgusting position. These Lings continue to die as they just run straight into those Marines. Finally, some Hydras show up. The Marines are off into the main, though, to try and do damage elsewhere. ByuN will continue to try dropping around the map at the moment. 2 medevacs to the far left as a couple of Lings get pushed around. Marines are back into the medevac and now looking to see where they might relocate to. A little bit of damage. The Queen doing good to push that medevac off into the corner. And just seeing a little group collection of units from ByuN in the top left as well, also getting set up at the moment. Extra libs on the way out. Our creep spread is about to be finishing up. Marines come through and just picking away at a couple of those. Marines on the top side. Oh my goodness, this is going to be a dead hatchery. It is gone to the 60 Marines on the top of the map. Well, only 13 of them remain, but still sold. Hatchery goes down, and ByuN's done a great job of denying bases repeatedly here so far. Chunk of drones on that right side are mining away comfortably for the moment, but that's where ByuN is starting to aim towards. That's his next target, it would seem. Pushing around that right-hand side. Still a group of Marines on the left. I'm just going to try and help to hold the ramp as the Banes roll forward here, getting picked off. Just working our way through this and seeing the few Banelings continue to be picked off here. Now we have got good Blinding Clouds. Oh my god, fantastic Blinding Clouds. The tanks are completely ineffective in this fight. Maybe a couple of them come out at the end? No. Well, I mean, no, they just don't shoot at all. Jeez, Blinding Clouds absolutely deadly there. That was something to behold. On the left side, these Marines still continue forward. Decent control from ByuN, gets a couple of Banelings target fired down. It's kind of funny, Solar's missing a base, right? Like, this base is on its own with a base in the middle that's just missing. His army supply competitive. The biggest issue for Solar to me is that Hive is up. He's just not really being able to tech up properly, right? I mean, he's not got the Lurker Den on the ways you might expect at this stage, right? And he's just missing a couple things that could be going better for him. And that's why, you know, that's what ByuN's doing well. He's kept the pressure up to the point where Solar hasn't felt safe enough to drop down a Lurker Den, invest into Lurker upgrades, and get to that stage of the game you know the Zerg wants to be at. it's because there's been so much pressure and he's just had to spam out units to survive. He's always low on minerals. His drone count is low. I like that ByuN takes a moment to, slow himself down here, because actually collecting together, he's going to let his 3-3 upgrades finish. That's going to be an advantage he will hold for a little while. He's going to get the tank and liberator count up a bit. I like it a lot, and Solar's still the one that's pressured to maybe make something happen here, because at the end of the day, his economy isn't exactly brilliant. He's 8 workers down on the Terran, and that's just not where Zerg wants to be, and I'm sure Solar knows or feels like he's in an uncomfortable position. Yeah, he's taken some fights that have cleaned up armies, but he's taken a lot of damage in the process. There's been it's definitely some rougher moments for him in this game. I'm going to go forward now. Let's see what these blinding clouds can do this time. Obviously, the tanks, they're better set up this time. The first couple come down, but that's already more energy than before. In fact, there's the last one coming down now as well. As we continue through, does Solar just have enough to break ByuN? ByuN's trying to drop on the right side, but it's unsuccessful. These Marines might have been better spent back on this side of the map defending. ByuN trying to get reinforcements out of hold. He's still ahead in workers if he can just survive. He cannot just survive, though. And that means Solar is going to win this first game of the best of 5 series. Map 2 coming up in a moment. It's first, so, that doesn't tell ByuN anything, checking the upgrades, I don't think. You could argue that he could check later, and he's like, well, still no +1 missiles, but even then, it was a scrappy game. I don't think the melee upgrades are really too much of an indicator. I think it's just one of those situations. ByuN was convinced he was close to ending the game, right? It was a scrappy game. He was convinced he was close to ending the game on the back of his attacks, and he kept, stayed aggressive because of it. He kept building tanks because he thought it was Hydra Lurker, which it was. I don't think he was wrong to build the tanks, and I think the tanks are fine as well. I mean, you got to think if he switches into Widow Mines after playing tank mid-game, he's then got to get into Widow Mine upgrade as well. The drilling claws, that's an investment in a scrappy game. Yeah. Just a couple times the blinding clouds were too effective on the tanks at the end of the day, I think. Mara beat Rogue with Marine Marauder Mine against Lurkers. Yes, I mean, you can do it. Yeah, just because it happens once doesn't mean that's the theory behind the game, right? Yes, games can go differently from the expectation and what you expect to happen, but that doesn't mean it should be the case. And like I say, all game long you're playing tanks for a good reason, because his entire game plan and how he's setting up and how he's positioned is based around tanks. So why would you switch into mines later game when mines are typically not as good later in the game once lurkers are out? I don't think ByuN is wrong to stick on the tank production. Well, Hatchcast and Pool going to be finishing soon, as we do have our command center from ByuN on the Naturals. We just get set up. Big discussion as we get our second game underway. SCV just heading down as the Reaper will replace it for scouting information on the top left. This is Berlingrad, one of the smaller maps. I believe we go Berlingrad, Glitter and Ashes, and then Curious Minds. You would imagine here that ByuN is looking for a win here on his map pick. Sorry, it's 1-0 to Solar, not ByuN. My apologies. You imagine that ByuN's looking for a win here on his map pick to avoid having the pressure of having to win in Glitter and Ashes. At 5, if we get there, will be 2,000 atmospheres. Grenades doing decent with the Reaper so far. Has a Ling kill and doesn't want to try and risk getting another despite that Ling being low. Just isn't really worth it, right? And I don't disagree. More drones coming through, and the Ling speed is starting up from Solar as well, so bringing that up. I like this rescout. This is a map where you can expect the roaches sometimes, so just being a bit more aggressive with the Reaper scouting. Even if this Reaper goes down now, I don't hate it, because I feel like you've scouted again. This is not like the Reaper goes down without a secondary scout. Then I'd be a bit worried that you just whack a roach roaring down, but this is a secondary scout. You see that it's not roaches, and I think that's just good info. We're going to play Banshees and Cloak anyway. We're going to play double gas opening, not 3CC. It's just kind of going from there. Lions heading back down the bottom right side. Just going to see like I say, the Banshee play coming online. So he would be safe anyways, mostly against roaches, but you still would like to know so you can position properly, set up correctly, etc. There's definitely some adjustments to be made in those kind of situations. Ling's going to run by. There's only a few Lings initially. Ling speed finishes kind of late, so now the Ling's getting blocked by the Queens. Obviously, as long as you're keeping the drones out of trouble, then this ain't so bad. We're going to lose one more Hellion here. No, he saves it. No, we're not going to go dive this mineral line, are we, ByuN? Why? We just gave away, I mean, maybe that one Hellion was going to go down anyway, but this was 2 more Hellions for a single drone. That's not worth it at all. I feel like you have an escape just out down to the south, and you maybe keep 3 Hellions alive. You definitely keep 2 alive. I don't like that at all. It just takes away some of your power on the map. But for very minimal gain, and I mean, this third base isn't meant to be full of drones, so you're never going to get like a super amazing shot. At best, you maybe get like 2 or 3 workers there because you don't have enough Hellions to one-shot. So, yeah, I don't think I like that at all. Yeah, I will stand by it. I don't think I like that in the slightest. We do see Lair and Baneling Nest coming through. The Banshee is going to cloak up, and the Queen will put some damage on it as the Spore Crawler initially positioned very well. Let's see a couple drones going down, so the Banshee somewhat successful. Here's Banshee number 2. See if it can find an opening, set on the edge of a mineral line, and just get a couple of these drones. It will find a couple at the very start at least, and only 1 shot off of a Queen. Lair now finishing, so you can get that Overseer up, and that will just help to deal with these Banshees. Stop them sitting in between your bases as much, etc., as this one needs to be careful anyway. It's getting low on energy, so it needs to have a plan as to where it's going to move to sooner rather than later, as it does just about escape down to the south side. It's going to grab a drone, and the Banshee and the Hellions just going to pull back up the right, and the Carapace upgrade setting up on the Evolution Chamber as well. Medivacs and 1-1 upgrades all being brought into play, and as our extra barracks will be finishing up, a couple of these Medivacs will head forward, grab these Marines, and maybe we can start to head out onto the map and perhaps try and make a little bit of something happen. The additional Banes is going to start morphing in here, and well, Banshee's going to go and get some creep spread. Got to be careful, one of these is kind of low. Nice to clean out some creep as the push goes to the left side. Stemmed Marines and Medivacs make a pretty nice combination, and actually we'll have the Hellions joining up, and this time you can see ByuN already playing in toward the Widow Mines. What he tells Solar, this is heading over in this direction. Do we have a scan for the active tumors? Yes, we do in the end. Just took a little while to get there. Widow Mines will burrow up as ByuN sets himself in a good position to move in towards this 4th base. He's got the few Hellbats to try and tank some damage off the Ling Bane also. If we tank a few of these Balins with the Hellbats, that would be great. We're going to be seeing a Widow Mine finally firing. Doesn't do too much. A lot of the Marines still alive, though. Does Solar have enough to fight this again if necessary? He runs forward. I think he wanted to target fire at Balin, and I think he missed it, so he moved forward, missing the Banes, and then it just obviously isn't as pretty. If he gets rid of those few Balins that are left over with target firing there, you really can just keep that fight going, and that's why you take that risk of trying to target fire the Balins down. Didn't work, and he got out with the Marines anyway, but obviously got very scary because he kind of ran forward, and yeah, I mean, that looked like I was trying to target fire Balins. I've done that a bunch of times. Like, be like, oh, hang on a sec, I feel like Clem! And then my 16 Marines become 1 to 2 Balins, so it's a tough life, guys. Tough life. I wouldn't mind will burrow, and Bane's going to turn around and clean it up. Worth just killing it off quickly, because if you take your time about that, it will get a chance to fire. And if you're clumped up, then obviously that's not good for you, so something to avoid happening. Look, then building in the back of this main base, as we do see a hatchery up on the top side as well. Getting set up to go, and Marines just continuing forward, going after a good amount of this creep spread here. So a bit of creep being cleaned out. The Banshees will get rid of a couple of drones here already. Marines still coming through. Creep spread being denied. As I look, it then finishes. Obviously, that will be a a stage of the game we've not really gotten to before here for Solar, right? He's been, he didn't get to the lurkers that last time, so we'll see how ByuN would deal with it this time around. Just getting into the drilling clause right now. Obviously, it's still a while until lurkers are on the map. Yes, you've got the lurker den finishing, but are you really going to build lurkers without their upgrades? Maybe you build a couple defensively, but the point where lurkers really become lurkers almost, like the lurkers we talk about, the all-powerful unit, is when they have those hive tech upgrades. So once they've got those hive upgrades, I do think we have then we have a case for ByuN to start worrying about them. Before then, I don't think we should be overly concerned. Big drop in the main base, by the way. ByuN just sneaking around here. No vision from Solar. And he actually doesn't have... Oh, here, sorry, he has one Overlord there, so he saw it a little bit ahead of time. As we stim in, I mean, what can we kill here? Maybe the Lurker Den? Yeah, maybe the Hydra Den on the follow-up as well. This is only Zerglings, so sitting in the choke point and fighting works pretty well. 2-2 against 1-1 also. Only has to lift up because Balins are showing up. What a fight from ByuN. Finds a lot of value on that and denies the Lurker Den, so slows the Lurkers down for even further. And now we're running around everywhere with these units. Still 2-2 against 1-1 for a little while longer here. Balin showing up on this side, letting the Widow Mines do a little bit of their work initially. There's still a couple in the back that are going to be able to help out also. And we still have that big drop of Marines in the main base going back in, but there's units here to meet them. This time we'll come out and maybe have to go elsewhere. Maybe I'm thinking if we can join it up with this little group of units, it would be great. But he actually just goes to the low ground and looking to find a position where there's just no units out at all, so you can get a clean unload and take a good fight. At least upgrades are finished now from Solar, so it's 2-2 apiece, rather than the Terran fighting with that upgrade lead consistently. Just has to lift up. A couple more Balins still rolling through. Finally, this drop over here got cleaned out. This is going to be the scare factor for ByuN. He loses a lot of units, and losing your units means you lose your momentum. If you lose your momentum, you're going to be in a lot more trouble. Things still heading across down the bottom right-hand side. I'm just going to be seeing another command center building up on the far right as well. Lingbane Hydra back into the top. Widow Mine gets picked off, and I'm just going to be seeing the Ghost Academy building from ByuN on the back of this main base. Obviously now Solar gets the chance to get some lurkers up and running. ByuN will remove some creep spread from the middle of the map at the very least, so making some progress through over here. Bling's looking for the wraparound, and Marines and Marauders just lift up, realizing they can't keep on fighting, so they escape away in the end. Drone's going down as Widow Mine drops have become active now, so one of those things that people have been discussing lately as well. Widow Mine drops just a little bit too good. Being able to drop 4 mineral Widow Mines and mineral line and instantly burrow up and blow the mineral line up. Yeah, maybe a little bit. There's a couple of Widow Mines continue to go down, by the way. Big parasitic bomb on the medevac forces them to split. I actually think ByuN's in some trouble right now. He can't quite control this position. Lurkers are burrowing. There's not a lot of them, but there's enough, and he's just so much Zerg swarming forwards. Not sure if these links should continue through now. Widow Mine hits a lot of them as they clumped up, killing the Marauder. And just a few Hydras and Lurkers behind this. Obviously, the Lings looking to be the buffer for the Lurkers to deal damage behind. ByuN doesn't have enough to continue. GG and Solar is going to get it done. I think ByuN just lost a few too many units attempting those drops across the map. Wasn't quite good enough for him, GG's. Would be a nice little payday if you win this one, $400 plus $1,000 from the last one. A little $1,400 payment into your PayPal. I wouldn't say no. Okay, guys, if you've enjoyed this event, the New Year Invitational, again, just a quick mention to obviously subscribe. It does help us out a whole bunch. We do take a portion of each of those subs, at least $1, and we put it toward WardiTV tournaments like this one. So, if you want to see more events like this, do consider subbing. If you can't afford a sub, if you don't have a Prime, that's all good. Do just keep on watching, hitting that follow button, tuning in for more action in the future. Yeah, one of the best ways to support these tournaments as well as the proxy rack sets up is obviously on the Patreon, patreon.com/WardiTV. Any pledges on the Patreon go to the WardiTV tournament prize pools directly. So anything you pledge on Patreon goes towards us creating prize pools for events. If you want to support events directly, you don't want to cut going anywhere else, patreon.com/WardiTV. This is worst case scenario. Not only is it proxy racks, it's scouted immediately against a pool first. This is horrendous for ByuN. It does not get worse than this. A 2-0 lead for Solar might be about to be a 3-0 win. I feel like we had a couple cool games. I feel like the scoreline of 3-0 here wouldn't reflect truly how fun the first couple of games were, sadly, but sometimes, alas, this is how StarCraft works, And, yeah, I mean, second rack's finishing. Marines on the way out. Lings coming through, Queen coming up. Just going to be having our push forward. Well, yeah, you're going to see the Lings running through, and ByuN's going to be like, oh no. I mean, obviously saw from the hatchery timing as well, he knew that this was going to be pool first, so already in trouble. Now, what's our follow-up going to be on both sides? Solar, I mean, one of the things can be effective here for Solar is if you just get up towards a Rotron. He is still mining 3 workers on gas, so he just goes, I mean, obviously he still needs Ling speed, but if he just goes towards a Rotron, he could get Roaches out and go for an attack. It is a long map, so maybe you're just content making the Lings and just continue to play a macro game from here, knowing your opponent invested into 2 racks, which is not really dealing any damage at all just yet. Factory at home from ByuN, waiting to see if he techs up beyond that factory, and when that CC will come down for him. He is still only on 1 gas, as these Lings now find a chance to nibble on the barracks. We do have units over here that are expected to be able to defend against this little bit of a Marine army pressing through. Marines get picked off pretty much right away, so that's nice. I mean, you get a couple kills. Obviously, from ByuN, not so great. I mean, he gets to put himself in between and trade as best as he can there, but not ideal. It's going to be a high ground command center after the factory finishes. And you have to go 1 Hellion before you go Reactor as well, just to make sure you can deal with Zerglings that come across the map and attack your base, because you don't want to be dealing with a Reactor getting cancelled, then you have no unit here, so obviously that's a shame, because 1 Hellion first just slows down the Reactor and overall Hellion production. Yeah, it's not a pretty opening. Not a pretty opening in the slightest, so pressure on ByuN to make something happen from here on out, but I mean, it's glitter and ashes, and now it's glitter and ashes from a deficit. It's definitely not feeling good. Well, a good amount of Lings on the map, and he's making a few more as well. His Queen's coming far right side as these Lings see where the Marines are. Single Hellion. This is a potential wraparound and kill. Especially with the extra Lings that have been building. This Hellion's in some trouble. You don't have to rush to get the Marines, because you're going to get the Marines eventually anyway, because they can't get home without going through this group of Lings. Yeah, this Hellion thought it was safe, and now we get the wraparound. So all these Marines go down. And now you don't have a lot at home as ByuN. He's going to have a couple Hellions. Well, he kind of wants to go Hellion dropping, but if you go Hellion dropping, you're not going to have Hellions at home to defend against the Ling run by. So what do? Do you try and Hellion drop and still make your damage happen and still make something come out of this? Or what is the plan? Don't exactly love it at the moment for our Terran player, and I feel like that's obvious. He's going to drop an armory down and just try and Hellbat off the back of this, which, fair enough, probably is one of the better ways to set up from here. Still don't like it, right? You don't have to like it, you know. It's not meant to be a pretty situation. It absolutely isn't. ByuN just trying to do whatever he can to try and draw this into something of a victory. There goes the medevac out across the map, so a few Hellions will go a-journeying. Rotron coming through, the extra drones, Lings all coming into play, and a few Zerglings out on that right side from Solar moving along as well. Just going to be seeing the lair starting to morph into. He's very ready for the longer game here as well. As he gets the Rotron up, as long as he just gets a few Roaches out right, he should be able to defend the Hellbat attack, and he should be good to go. We do actually start the stim behind this, then he doesn't cancel, sorry, I opened the unit tab instead of the production tab. I was like, it's gone, it's disappeared. I mean, he's going to try for 4 Hellions in the main, but when there's already Lings here, he can't morph the Hellbats in. Well, that's not great, and then the Hellbats over here don't even bother to morph, so that armory has been a complete waste so far, building it so early for absolutely no benefit, no gain. Lings are going to run through over here, though, and they're going to look to jump on top of a Hellion. I mean, a couple just go to the mineral line as well. They're going to start getting SCVs. I didn't target fire any of those, so actually only gets a couple. Maybe with target fire, all that damage spread could have been 3 or 4. Not the end of the world, though. Again, it's one of those situations where you're already ahead of Solar. These little moves are just helping you out a little bit. going to try and run by here, and there's not a full wall off, so in we go. Oh, God. I mean, obviously, we're going to try and do damage across the map as Solar, right? But as ByuN, right? But it's just not going to happen, and ByuN is just dead. Oh, the run by was kind of the nail in the coffin that was already built, and ByuN was already being placed into it. Solar just slams the lid on it and sends ByuN away in this grand final. Solar is your WardiTV New Year Invitational champion as he wins back-to-back WardiTV events.